Ladies and gentlemen, this is the beginning of looking at some marked hand.
Mark
And
hands.
marked hand, get in. So I'm gonna start this off. I'm gonna talk about a live hand I played this weekend, which arguably went well. So this isn't really about the result. It's about if we played it correctly. And so there's a number of decision points in here that I'm curious what others think about. So first decision, we're on the button, playing 1-2. We have a broken stack because we just lost a big hand and we have not added to our stack yet. So we're playing 75 bigs, about not 100. And an aggro red, he splits his range, and I don't really understand how he splits his range. I think he splits his range between hands that he wants to see a flop, and then he mixes in some really good hands. He's a pretty good player, but not in this hand necessarily. He's got some leaks. So he chooses to limp here. Another limper. You've got threes on the button. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, I think we could limp behind and just, yeah.
Mike, what would you do here?
Yeah, I think you're. So were there any folds between? I missed how you were
No, we're
setting
only
up.
playing 1, 2, 3. We're only playing
Okay,
five-handed.
all right. So there's nobody
And
between you and that guy.
so I am on button. So essentially cut up hijack limped.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I think you're. This is a great spot to limp behind.
Okay, so I did choose to overlimp. And now we've got a family pot, but we get our flop, right? So we now hit this flop. Um
Don't look excited. Don't look excited. Don't look excited.
yeah, exactly. But I can't change this, but this is a mistake. This is actually it was two hearts. So it was, sorry guys. So it's pair clubs, three of hearts and nine of hearts. So we don't have a heart and it's two-tone board. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
And he chooses a large sizing here against this many players on a two-tone board. Player 4, the cutoff folds. It comes back to us again. Can clubs, three of hearts and nine of hearts. What are you doing here?
Will you consider that a large size just because of what we studied, or do you consider that a large size because that would be large for this player in this game?
I think, yeah,
Because
good
it does
question.
not seem to be a large size like to a lot of people.
Yeah, good point. So it pots 10 because we've got five limpers. He goes like a B70. I think, um, I think, is this a lot? I don't think this is, yeah. What does this guy do? He's all over the place. He doesn't have very many patterns. I play with him a lot. Doesn't have very many patterns. This is I would argue that looking at this objectively, this is a very large size multi-way on this texture, two-tone texture, no matter how you cut it.
It
In
is.
theory.
Yeah.
But for
In
this
theory, it is,
player,
yeah.
which is probably the more important question, what you're asking is, yeah, I think this is a large size for him.
Yeah,
And you said player 4 folded.
And the cutoff player 4 folded, and it's back on us.
Anything on the two players left to act? Like no, you haven't noticed anything or
two players left to act. I have no. Yeah, small blind is a good player, and he'll play aggressively free. He doesn't really have much of a post flop game, and I don't remember who big blind was.
Yeah, I think I'm in the camp for fast playing now. His bet size, and it just tells me he's got value a lot
Yeah,
here,
this is kind of,
as opposed to.
yeah, I think so. What do you guys think? Anybody else have an opinion here? Slow play or fast play?
What about a raise from this position?
That's
On
what
the
we're
button.
talking about.
Yeah, we're raising,
So we're
right?
deciding.
Slow play
Yeah,
bottom.
no, it's not about looking excited. It's about raising a bit so that you isolate this player.
Derek, what, are you, with us, Derek? Are you back? No Derek
Hello?
yet.
Hello?
Hey, Derek, did you follow this, hand so far?
Uh, I've been listening to it, yeah. Yeah.
What would you do here?
Well,
Being one of our live player veterans, what would you do here?
okay. So I made bottom set, so immediately I think, how can I get all the money in?
Yeah,
I know
So I want to get
Derek's
140
philosophy
pot three.
is fuck balance. I
yeah,
agree.
So like as I said, I have no qualms about saying fuck balance. So at this point, I'm thinking, how can I get all the money in? So I always take how much is in the pot if I call, which is what, 14 plus 17 is 31. Subtract that from the stack sizes, so that would be like 120, then divide by 3, so that'd be 40. So I want to get, so the next bet has to be 40, I'm thinking.
okay, so
If I
40,
want to get all of it in on the next bet. So I might have to make it, a three bet. So if the bet after this is going to be 40, then I want to basically set it up so that there's 40 in the pot here.
so you're gonna, okay,
So-
so
So that would mean to get 40 in the pot, I want to bet how much? Well, 30. So I want to bet at least like 10, 50. So I'd have to make it at least 15, so that'll be fine.
okay, so I'm with you.
So
I think,
the
so
betting
we're all in
progression is
agreement to
gonna
fast
be-
play this.
What?
We're all in agreement that we fast play, right?
Yeah. So the betting progression is going to be 15, 40, and then shove the rest in. That's what
Okay.
I'm thinking in my brain. Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I chose to go bigger. I chose to go to 25.
Yeah. Bigger is better. That's fine.
And so this is actually a two-tone board. So I think there's a lot more that can call this bigger bet. It wasn't a 9 of diamonds, it was a 9 of hearts, so it's queen of clubs, 3 of hearts, 9 of hearts. So I felt like I could get value from more heart draws. So I use this size, everybody folds. He calls. Now it gets interesting, right? So we're in agreement that we're gonna fast play this. This is a clear fast play spot, even though we're playing in position to a big bet. So this is a blank river. Right now it gets interesting. Pot 60. I've got 118 behind on the effective stack. And he chooses to dunk. So he's now chosen to bet. What is that? Essentially a third pot, a little bit more than a third pot, maybe like about 40% pot into me after I showed significant aggression on this flop. So our choices now obviously are to fold or call. I'm sorry, to raise or call. What are you guys doing here?
I'm shoving, to be honest with you, in this point. I'm gonna stick it.
You're gonna shove?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm kind of torn though, because I kind of want, yeah, I'm a little torn between shoving and flatting and letting him get to a river. But yeah,
I-
probably just jam it.
Yeah, I think that what his bet size is saying that is I have leverage to shove you all in by the river. That's what that bet size says to me.
Yeah,
Like when he bets 27, he's saying, we're gonna play for stacks, okay? That's what he's saying to you, right?
yep, I
Because
agree.
no matter what if you
I don't know. I think he
no
might be
matter
saying,
what-
I'm betting this and I might fold.
Yeah, but he's threatening to shove stacks in, right? Because if you call the 27, that'll mean the pot is gonna be like one pot size bet or less away from on the river, right?
Yeah, this is a very unusual play, right? I mean, this is not really something that we should see, especially on a non-equity shifting turn, right? So it's hard to get in his mind and think what he's thinking here. I mean, this is either he can't pot control because we're playing in position. And if we call here, we're gonna have less than a pot size bet left. We're gonna have about 80% pot left.
Yep.
So
So we don't need to. We can let our position get more money.
yeah, I think position is really important here.
Yeah. So we can call the 27 and use our position because the board is so unthreatening, right? We have a rainbow, no flush, no like it's the driest of dry.
No, there's
dry
a heart.
boards.
Yeah, I made a
Yeah,
there's a
mistake.
flush
This is a
draw.
nine of hearts.
Okay.
So it's
Okay,
queen
so
of
there's
clubs,
front
three of
door
hearts,
hearts,
nine of
yeah.
hearts. Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry. Okay, that threw me off. But
Yeah.
still,
So I think that uh, so I strategic tension. I want to get value from the, some people are going to set a price for their flush draws here by doing this,
yep. So any heart
and
can
other
cool the
people.
board.
It's really hard for me to understand what this is about. This is to me mostly about setting price, but we're in position. We've got a hand that probably has 90% equity. We're losing to very few combos. He's not limping kings. He might limp nines. He has now king nine a lot. Not a lot, but he has king nine sometimes. So I decided to slow play this when I'm getting bet into with the very top
Yep.
of range. If I had king nine here, I would shove. If I had, I'm not gonna, if I had 9-6 suited, I would shove. I'm not gonna really have that. If I have a naked king that I chose to do this with, I am probably gonna call, depending on my kicker. And then if I had a flush draw, I'm gonna call. But with this particular hand, I'm also gonna call because we are at the very top of range and he's betting into us from out of position. Even though it's not a big bet, he's betting into us out of position and because we're in position, we can control, in my position, in my opinion, we can control what happens on the river. So I just call, which I think,
I agree with the call.
yeah, I think Mike, and you were on the edge, right? You were like, this is go either way.
I was torn, but leaning towards jamming, and Skate brought up the reason why. It's still vulnerable, and there's some scare cards that are going to come. Any heart, any queen, jack, or 10 is
Yeah.
going to threaten you in terms of a better hand, and B, going to be a scare card for your opponent, and you may not get any more action.
It's going to be.
And the
a
other thing I'll
cooler
say
card,
here
yeah.
is that when I made this call, in my head, I'm like, there's very few rivers that I'm gonna fold. Cause the pot's 114, we've got 91 behind.
So
Just
are
looking
you
at pot
trying to
odds,
bet
our pot odds
money?
are around 28% if you shove, so there's very few rivers that I don't call,
So do you
including
desire
hearts.
to get all the money in right on the turn? Are you is your goal to get all the money in or not? Or is it to get
Yeah, my
some?
goal is to get all the money in for sure. But
So what is he
the
folding?
conundrum is that now he's betting into my very top of range, right?
Right. So you raised and he called, then he's
I've got
betting.
fourth nuts,
Yeah. So
and
what's
he
he?
is,
Uh,
and so I can raise fourth nuts here, but also he's betting into me in a very unusual fashion, right? Because we raised big on flop.
are you
And
folding
so,
anything on the river?
and also this is an aggro player. What, sorry, say it again?
Are you going to fold anything on the river?
Very few cards I'll fold, including some hearts I'll call, depending on what heart it is.
Um,
Like if it's an ace of hearts, I'm gonna call.
Right. So if you're not folding anything on the river and you want to get the money in and he's bet he's betting into your check. He's betting into your raise after calling your raise. You might as well just shove right now.
Yeah, I think shoving's fine. I
Only
like
reason
slow
you
playing
wouldn't
here
shove
because
is
we're at very
right.
top of range, right? Also, let's not forget, we're 20% to boat up too, right?
Yeah.
20% chance that a king, a 9, 3, a 6 are gonna come.
All right. So
And
what I'm saying is the only reason I would not shove is if I planned on folding to something on the river. If I don't plan on folding something on the river, I'm just going to shove.
yeah, I can see that. I just really like the fact that he now has chosen to bet into us and I'm at the very top of range. So I'm not gonna make this play with two, with two pair, I'm shoving. Uh, but with this hand, and I'm very top of range, fourth nuts, I'm gonna smooth call when he chooses to be aggressive. Also
Yeah, I
take
think you
consideration, this
have.
is an aggressive player.
I think you have the effective second nuts really, because he's not going to have kings. He didn't raise pre-flop, and he's not going to call your bet with sixes on the flop. Your check raise with
Yeah, you
sixes.
have a very good point. Yeah, if we do a
So I
little,
think really the only hand that's beating you is nines.
yeah, when we do a little range analysis, you're totally right. He doesn't
Yeah.
have kings because he splits range. He's gonna raise kings. He might have nines, but
Maybe
that's it.
has
Yeah,
nines,
I think you have a
but
really good
that's
point.
totally fine to lose all your money.
Are players
So,
limping nines here in live? I mean, you said he was a pretty good player.
some he's splitting range, right? So but he also balances, so he has some good hands in his limping range. So I'm not really
Okay.
scared of queen 10. I think this is a really good flop. This is a really good turn. I'm sorry, river. And it's pretty easy now. We're always calling this. And he
Snap
was
call.
mergy as fuck. Look at this hand he had.
Maybe he
This
folds
is
it.
really ridiculous. I mean, like, so this is an argument for my slow play.
Yeah.
If he's going to merge a very bad king, like he did here, my play is good, right? This is a good play to make on turn. If he's gonna get mergy with, I mean, it's hard to understand if it's hard to understand this play is a bluff or if it's value, it's mergy. And then when this great turn comes, because we only lose to like nothing. You know, he does have, I mean, it's hard to
Apparently,
hit.
your old man coffee reputation has not stuck with you yet, Larry.
Yeah,
Apparently, he thinks you're some kind of maniac.
yeah, I mean, that is exactly right. I mean, he plays with me all the time. And he should, for whatever reason, he got it stuck in his craw that this was, I think he thought, remember this is a two board. I think he thought he had a lot of flush draws here. It's the only thing I could think.
Does he open
But if he had a lot of, he thought he had a flush draw, a high frequency, he should check call river. He shouldn't make this play. This is a really bad play on his part. Can't figure this player out. He's some players at this level profit on largely naked aggression. And he clearly took it too far this time.
Yeah,
What's
that's
his
crazy.
what's his VPIP? He limped king 4 off. That's
I would say his VP is probably around 35%, 40%. Everybody thinks I'm an old man coffee because I play less than 25% of hands, right? I play the ranges we
Yeah.
learned.
yeah.
And because I play
Yeah.
less than 25% of hands, I'm
Everyone
the old
thinks
man
you're a
coffee,
nit.
but I'm really just playing appropriate ranges.
Yeah.
I mean, how you make money in these games is pretty ABC sometimes. You play better hands in position against worse players, and when you enter a pot, you often three bet to try to isolate heads up. It's really how you make money in these games. So, because everybody's here to see a flop, and if you could deny them equity free, get it heads up with your, with your usually better hand, you're in good shape. So, yeah, anyway. I've got some other hands to show you guys and we'll pass it on. Who has marked hands today?
Can I just
I know
make a
Mike
comment
does.
here?
Say it again?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
I I agree with everything that you said earlier, but I don't agree with that you want to get heads up necessarily.
Okay, I'm open to what you're gonna say. Tell me your
So
position.
if it's more EV, if it's EV to have one player there, and then it's also EV to have another bad player playing.
I can
So
hardly hear you, Derek.
it
Can you get closer to the
so
mic and say it
I'm
again?
saying if it's EV to have one bad player, then it's also EV to have two bad players. So it'll increase your skew, but it will increase your hourly.
Okay, well, this is my argument for.
But it doesn't matter if you have less chance of winning the pot. What matters is your total EV.
Your hourly.
Yeah. So even though like okay, so you give someone deuce seven, right? And they have like 12 or to 18% chance to win. You want him in that pot. Right? So if you add like a guy with deuce seven and another guy with 3-8, right? You want those guys in the pot
So you're saying
because
that because they're so bad, you want them with luck, but it lowers your odds as well. So if you're a
no,
60%,
okay, it lowers your chance of winning, but it increases your EV.
increases what you win, basically. Just lowers your
Yeah,
chance.
yeah. So your skew goes up.
Yeah.
You'll have
Yeah.
more spike, but who cares, right?
Okay.
They're calling with deuce seven and 3-8.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you might be right. I mean, I'm in the Bart Hansen school that,
No, that's a blunder that Bart makes
okay,
of
I don't,
wanting to get things
okay, I think,
heads up.
frankly, I kind of think Bart knows what he's talking about.
Oh, I
Uh,
listened to his podcast. Yeah.
and so I understand your position that we want to take it multi-way against multiple hands. I think the argument for playing heads up as opposed to playing multi-way is that it's much easier to play against someone when you're playing against a singular range to understand what their range is. Once you're playing against two players and two ranges, it becomes a lot harder to understand. You can't really hand read. You can't really range and analyze very well against two players.
Mm,
You can against one player. But I understand
like
that you approach it differently. That you want to play against two players with weak ranges with the top of your with really good hands. And I understand why
I
that
want
is.
to get like 10 buy-ins by the time I go home.
Yeah. Well, that's
So the way to
I've
do
never
that
done
is
so.
to win like 1,000, like win stacks off everyone in the table.
Yeah, I think you play a much more high variance game, and if I had, I wish I
Okay, I play
had that
against
game in me.
tourists.
I play a more low variance game.
I play
You're
against
not you're
11
not playing
players.
so yeah, you're saying in a specific situation where you're playing against multiple bad players, you want it multi-way. But you wouldn't want that
Okay,
if they were
okay.
good players, right?
Let me
You
put
wouldn't
it
want
to you
that if
this way.
they were good players, right?
Last time I played, a guy was in a 5-bet pot with deuce 3 because we were talking about Michael Jordan. So you want the guy with deuce 3 in the hand.
Right.
In a 5-bet pot.
Like let's say I give you an offer, right? Every hand that you play for the next year, some guy with deuce 3 is going to see you to the river.
So then you'd want to
Would
be
you
all
want
in.
that?
Yeah.
Of course you want that. You
Yeah,
want the guy with deuce 3 and deuce 7 in there with you, right?
yeah,
You want the guy calling with ace jack, right?
yeah.
The
But I
guy,
don't
guy
want to
calling
take it
with king.
multi-way often because I just don't. It's just a much harder game to play.
I mean, if
I
he's
have
going
deuce
Multiplayer.
multi-way
3.
with
Why
deuce
is it
three,
hard?
yeah, it
Right?
really doesn't matter. If you know that he has deuce, how
They
do you
have
know?
deuce 3. Why is that hard?
Because you have to know that he has deuce 3.
Okay,
Yeah,
but I'm saying that I'm
I
saying
mean,
that
if it works, it probably works really well.
Yeah.
It probably works really well when it
I
works.
see your point. I see your point that you wanna have superior starting ranges against multiple players with weak ranges. But I'm kind of in the Bart school that I wanna play heads up with the top of my, I wanna play heads up against multiple players unless I have an applied odds hand, right? Maybe, I mean, I didn't there in this hand that I showed you guys. I had threes and I wanna take it, I wanna set mine. And
Okay,
13% of the time I wanna stack someone.
let's say you if I gave you the choice of having two other players with random cards, would you take it? You'd make 3 times as much money, right? Would
Well,
you
okay,
want
let's
three
just
times
look.
as much money? Of course you do.
So if
So if
I,
you add
so
Gamble.
So if you add a guy with ace jack and another guy with king queen and another guy with sixes and another guy with threes.
So if I have aces against one range, I'm at 80%. Two with 63% of hands. I'm
Yeah,
at,
but you win twice as much money. So it doesn't
yeah,
matter that right, that doesn't matter.
yeah.
So
Maybe I'm just,
would you rather win 80% or twice as much money with 60%? You'd rather win 60% of twice as much money.
yeah,
Do
I
you
see your
see?
point.
You see the whole idea of poker is to take home 10 buy-ins when you walk out of there. Go with
Yeah,
that attitude. You don't want to win one buy-in. You want to win 10 buy-ins.
I agree. I think you have a good
So
point.
I think
That requires a higher variance play though. Requires higher
I'm
variance
not
game.
well, like rather than winning 80% of the time, you're gonna win 60% of the time. Boo-hoo, right?
Yeah, I see your
Are you
point.
gonna be crying because you win twice as much 60% of the time rather opposed to winning 80% of the time? No, you're gonna be dancing in the street because you won twice as much 60% of the time. That's another 40%. Like I'm saying, you want to increase your win rate by 40%? Like, do you want to spend time in the server getting another 2% more win rate, or do you want to increase your win by 40% by following Derek's advice?
I'm gonna follow Derek's advice then.
Go for the extra 40%. Say fuck variance. Everyone say fuck variance. I want to win 60% twice as much rather than win 80%.
Hey
So
man,
say it with me. Fuck
if you
variance.
but if you can put those weak, if you talking about two, yeah, then I agree. If you know that they're playing any two cards, then fuck it.
Yeah, I see your point. Alright, let's move on. Let's play some other hands. So. This blind versus blind ace three. Got a gutter, backdoor, over. But just a
Wait,
bet.
hold on, clarify here. The button's in the wrong spot, right? This is blind versus blind. You're the small blind
Yeah,
here?
sorry. Blind versus blind button is broken.
Yeah, this is the global poker replayer glitch.
Yeah, so we raise. He calls. Interesting hand. We choose to bet with as much equity he raises. I don't think we get to fold this hand to this size at this stack depth.
I'm with you. I don't think so either.
Not yet, not yet. Yeah.
We call, we get a good turn,
Call again.
we check. He
Yeah.
checks. What are you guys doing here?
I think you got a call. Man,
Or
you can
I choose
raise.
to click it.
Yeah.
Just to click it. Huh? Nice.
Yeah.
He does not have the nut flush.
Now you
Or
block
could not
that.
have the nut flush here.
Case came.
So, and then we get a total blank turn,
Yeah.
blank river.
Yeah, one play here, Larry. Attaboy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Boy. There you
You
go.
know what, Larry? I typically don't like the click back stuff, but this one worked out great because you had a great pot size bet at the end to be able to follow up. I was like on the turn, I was kind of like, ooh, do we just jam now? But your click back really set it up nicely. I really like that.
I thought it was a
Cheers,
really
man. I appreciate you
masterful
saying that.
play there. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so there's one hand he cannot have, and we have it. So we're blocking it. All right, one more and I'll pass it on to whomever wants to. Hold on. Excuse me. Okay, last hand. Let's see. What hands do I have here? I don't remember what happens in this hand. Open this all day. We get 3-bet. Now, what do we do?
I think it's a fold in theory, but
Folds here.
So I don't think this is a fold if you get 3-bet by one person in this configuration.
3-bet calls.
But the
fold.
flap behind, I think, makes it very interesting, right? So I think this is a steal opportunity. The black and kings. And we've got a hand that could potentially do okay post flop. So if we were 3-bet by this hand with button. This is, I think, part of our 4-bet bluff range. So
if it were heads up, but you're saying it's still part of your 4-bet bluff range?
I would say that we've got 10 bigs of dead money in a cap range. So this guy, so 0350 in the big blind is often gonna have implied out hands. So he's gonna have middle pairs, probably 10s to 6s. And maybe some city connectors. Sometimes he's gonna have a hand you'd expect, of course, but I think oftentimes that's the range this is an implied odds hand. Trying to hit bingo. So I think we get to 4-bet bluff this a lot. I hope I do. So I choose to 4-bet bluff it. In the old poker coaching, again, in the old poker coaching ranges, this was a 4-bet bluff.
They had cold calls to 3-bets?
No. Well, this is sorry, this is a 4-bet bluff heads up.
Yes, correct. But yeah, I don't know how this extra cold caller, if that helps
Yeah,
us or hurts
I
us.
think it really does increase our 4-bet range because we've got. His range is capped, right? He doesn't have aces, he doesn't have kings, probably doesn't have queens, and he doesn't have ace king. Probably. Nice blocking it. So I think that this is dead money, right? And I think we want to go after the dead money when we see it. This might be a little bit too much of an expansion, but I think this is okay. I don't remember what happens.
Yeah, I'm curious. I because I'm with you.
So
I
he
come into this spot
folds. I
quite a
think this
bit.
guy calls, actually. This guy calls and we miss. He checks. We put in, and then we get the fold. So not talking about the ranges as much. But I think this is the play. Like this range, I think we expand our 4-bet bluffing range. We've got dead money, especially in this configuration, right? Maybe not for UTG and he 3-bets us from button. Which we can assume is a better range. But I think in this configuration, we do get to 4-bet bluff at a higher frequency. Trying to steal the dead money that he's got an uncapped range. We may not get it through him. But player in the big blind does have a capped range, I think.
Yeah, I think it's great that I'm curious. I wish I knew, because we both know that King Jack suited is a great 4-bet bluff in that situation when it's the button versus cutoff.
Yeah,
I just really wish I knew if this hand range stays there and you just expand it, or if it becomes a different range of hands you use.
yeah.
But
I mean, the way to
this is a new Larry. This is a new Larry I like. The last hand and this hand is like, it seems like you're stepping out a little bit, and it's awesome.
yeah, it might be
it's-
my playing live has done this a little bit, but it also might be the playing live has made me realize that the stakes I'm playing here. I'm not really concerned about getting stacked after, start playing live at much higher stakes. But, yeah, I think this is a play we can make. Anyway, I've taken half an hour talking about my hands. I'm gonna pass it on.
Bogdan had one
Cool.
in chat. I don't know if anybody else has seen it.
I did have just that one, yeah. I want to hear some opinions about it.
Did you want to share your screen and put it up on the or had just anybody can just click on it and look at it.
Yeah, sure, I can try. Why not?
My only critique here would be I probably would have bet the flop. I mean, the hand itself pretty much played itself because it was just a cooler, but
Wait a second, guys. 1 second, please. I had it here somewhere. Yep, this is it. Too big.
Make it a little bigger?
Ah,
I would make it bigger for us if you can.
I'm gonna try. Just 1 second, please.
There we
Is
go.
okay?
Perfect.
Okay, okay. So I did hit a pair. I was like, okay, let's go with it, you know. So I raised it. He raised it. Sorry, he raised it. He did raise it. I just called it. I did hit a set. I decided to check and set up a trap. I was expecting some bets, right? And when he did bet, I decided to raise it, you know, and he went all in. So I called it, but I wasn't expecting sixes, you know. I mean, how often does this
yeah.
happen?
I mean, it's pretty rare to get set over set. Like, you know, it's going to happen, you know, rarely, but it will. But you think about the action here. So pre-flop, he's in the cutoff. He raises. You flatted with fours, which is fine. And you see a flop. You flop middle set, and he checks to you, and he's going for a check raise. But this is a flop where if you're playing fours against his range, you should be betting this flop pretty much pure. You know, for just a small size, really. You just don't need you
Okay.
don't need to go big. You can go small. You would have gotten check raised, and then you would have either called or raised, and you would have got it all in at that point, or you would have got it all in on the turn. That after that, it didn't matter. My only critique was I would bet the flop.
Makes sense. Yeah, I want also to do that, but I was like, if I do it, he might fold it. I wasn't expecting him to have like sixes or some small pair also. I was expecting to see a king jack like you had earlier in another example, you know, so that an ace king
Yeah.
off, ace king queen suited also, stuff like that, you know. And I was like, you
Mhm.
didn't
Yeah,
hit the set, you didn't hit, sorry, the straight with a three, you know, and he wouldn't have had a three. I was
yeah, and that's why
following.
I think that's why strategy would dictate you just make a small bet on the flop, because you kind of want to keep his range wide, so he can still call you with all his overcards. He'll definitely call you with his over pairs like aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, and he may even raise you with those. He can call you with backdoor flush draws. He can call you with ace three, ace five. He can call you with a whole bunch of stuff when you make a small bet. That's why I wouldn't go big on the flop. I would just go small, keep his range pretty wide so that when you get to the flop, like say the flop, say he just calls you and then the flop comes in nine of clubs. That's effectively a blank. However, it could give him more hands to continue with, such as his backdoor flush draws. Like if he calls you with ace five of clubs, ace three of clubs, ace six of clubs, ace
Right.
anything of clubs, king,
Yeah.
queen of clubs, all those hands. He still has a ton of hands that he's going to pay you with. And now you can go big on the turn.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's my only critique. That would be the way I would have played it differently. And I think you checking behind on the flop isn't bad. You know, it's not a losing. You're not losing. Like it's not a losing play. In other words, you know, you're just slow playing a flop set, which is probably fine.
Yeah, I was thinking about setting a trap in the beginning, but not. We talk about betting the flop. Curious about something. Um, I would never, ever, ever fold or raise on the flop, you know, regardless of how big it is. But sometimes I do decide to fold super strong pairs, exactly because I see a straight, I see a flash in there, you know, and I'm like, okay, you might hit something like that, and you show me the nuts with some 8-6 suited, you know, stuff like that, and you crush me, and I don't want to see that, so I'm gonna fold aces, I'm gonna fold kings in certain situations. Perhaps I'm gonna fold also the set, but I'm not really sure. How would you react to a raise, to our initial bet on the flop?
Oh, I would consider slow playing at that point. Once if you bet and got excuse me, if you bet and got raised, then I might consider, depending on the size of his bet, I might consider flat calling at that point. Not because I think I'm beat, but because we have position and he can still have a lot of hands that he thinks he's betting for value, and you can get it in that way. Anybody agree, disagree?
I guess this is it. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if we lost everybody.
I'm not sure, but it was like a very interesting position because situation. Sorry, because
Larry,
I don't often see this, but I often
Yeah.
get beaten by like super small differences. You know, like I'm going all in with ace king, and I'm going against kings. I flop an ace, but the river comes a king, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, come on. It's like
I wanted to ask Larry, because Larry's oftentimes, he has a pretty good argument for slow playing when you're at top of range, and you're pretty much at top of range when this happens. So I'd want
Yeah.
to see if he had any thoughts on this.
So let me see. So we're in position, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cut off button.
So what's our SPR on flop? It's like probably like 2 or 3, maybe 3. Yeah, you know, it looks, well, can we see what did he start? Can we tell what he started the hand with, what his stack size was when we started the hand? Is that available?
Oh,
No, it's not.
not sure.
So
No.
yeah, I think slow playing is fine on flop. But when he checks because of the SPR and then he bets 21, we raise, he's all in. Yeah, it's just a cooler. I mean, you're never folding this at this stack depth and um at this SPR, and how you played it is fine.
Yeah. If you didn't go broke, it's a huge blunder.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing
So
is,
so
You can't get away from this
so
at this stack depth.
this is
I mean,
such a
so
tiny stack.
7,000 big blinds, and so it ended up being like 368.
Well, the M is 15, right? So you get
So
if you don't get it all in
you
with your
had,
set, fuck it.
I mean,
Right?
it's
yeah,
a 40
exactly. I
big
was like
blind
that.
stat. I mean, it's a 40 big blind pot. I mean, you're never going to fold a set, a 40 big blind pot.
Yeah. So it's a blunder if you don't lose all your money.
Yeah,
Well
I agree.
played. Right? Well
Thank you,
played.
guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
Ah,
no worries.
I want to cross the screen, you know, to go through it and choke the guy if I could, you know. I was like, how often does this happen? It's like super rare, and I have lots of moments when I get beaten by these small differences, you know. Like this case, just a +2, but I'm usually beaten by +1. Like queens with kings, aces, sorry, kings with aces, and so on. How do you deal with this? What was like the final question? With the blunders, with the coolers. Suggestions. Thank you.
No worries. All right, Mike, what you got for us?
Okay, sure. Anybody else? Okay. All right, let's
Yeah, anybody else have a hand?
pull up. Hey, do you see the replayer?
Do.
All right, let's see what we got here. Again, marked some hands from a recent session to see what happens here. We got 8s under the gun. This is not a full frequency raise for me. I will, depending on my mood or players behind me, not necessarily open 8s early under the gun like this. I probably do most of the time though, however. So we get a flat from the big blind. We get this really kind of innocuous flop. Oh, by the way, big blind's broken stack.
Yeah.
He started with 30 big blinds. Which I think if it were versus a full stack and a good player, I probably would check this at a pretty good clip, but versus this type of player, I think I'm just going to see bet more often than not.
How many hands do you have on the stack?
Only 5.
Okay. So you don't know
Um,
nothing.
so
So, yeah, I
no,
think
the
this
only
bet's
no what we do no, it's not that we don't know nothing. We do know he's started with a 30 big blind stack.
yeah, good point. So, yeah, I think this bet's fine. You can go either way.
Yeah. And like I said, I would probably check at a much higher frequency versus somebody with a full stack that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
We got call, and we get that turn. Checks to us. Now I feel like a check is in order, I think, but I go for another value bet. This is going for value.
Again, 6s, 5s.
Overcards.
Okay.
Maybe a little min raise.
Huh. It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Generally
Do we
think,
hate, do we, first, do you hate this, Larry? It sounds like you don't like the, you don't actually like the bet on the turn.
I think I'd probably check on the turn. So we can use the George Washington Carver theorem of Mark Goon. His argument is that the last time someone check raised turn with a bluff, George Washington Carver was president, was alive. He was never
Okay.
president,
Yeah.
was alive. So, for this reason, I think we can overfold
Hmm.
without any additional equity.
Yeah, I did not. I wound up calling. And again, I just, these players that come in with these 30 big blind stacks are just all over the place.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
of course we get here and of course we face that. And no, I'm just going to fold.
Well,
Um,
What does he have there?
the question that I try to ask myself when I see a 30 big blind stack is, does this player know how to play a 30 big blind stack?
Most of the time, the answer is no. So we don't know this player. We only have 5 hands on him so far. And if I'm going to apply any sort of put him in a bucket, it's going to be in the bucket of does not know how to play a good 30 big blind stack
So
until he proves me wrong.
okay, so he's basically an idiot. Because you should
I
not
put him
play
in
a
the
30
idiot bucket.
big blind stack if you don't know how to play a 30 big blind stack, but he doesn't know that. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a good way to say it. That's probably where I'm
'Cause-
defaulting until he proves me wrong.
Yeah. Because the way to play a 30 big blind stack is you have to play super duper tight. You play 15% of hands. But if he's not playing 15% of hands, yeah, then he doesn't know how to play a 30 big blind stack. So you'll eventually get all his money.
And
Evidently,
he had
George Washington Carver's
king,
still alive.
Yeah, the turn value bet was a real spot for me.
Yeah, I think
that
we
was
check
fine.
back
I
a
thought
lot. I mean, his check raise is really, I mean, it's gangster, but maybe that's the reason he's playing on 25 bucks because he feels comfortable making crazy plays. Doesn't have a lot at stake.
and to give you an example of what I truly think of these players, I considered calling this bet because I had the 8 of spades.
Yeah.
Like I considered calling this because of these players doing stuff like this, doing those little min clicks and betting the turn like for value when I wouldn't bet that turn for value versus somebody that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And then to add insult to injury, the only reason we see his cards here is because he flipped them over and did the little laugh emoji.
What a jerk.
Laughing in my face kind of thing. It was great. I loved it.
Um,
So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare for there. I mean, there's always going to be exceptions. It's very rare for a turn check raise to be a bluff.
Next hand, we have pocket eights here as well. So here we'll raise a little earlier position, pretty much always. Flatted on the button by somebody playing an 85 big blind stack. Get a flop that is pretty crappy for our hand, decent for our range, backdoor flush draw. I've been defaulting towards more c betting if playing against some players. So we do have a little more hands. This guy's pretty active in 26 hands. You can see he's a VPIP of 54. So I typically will default to being a little bit more on the aggressive side with c bets and turn continuation bets, which is I think probably what I do here. I do, and even on this board, it's probably not a bad spot to do it anyway. The hand with this hand, maybe not. We get flatted. And nothing great here other than that we're blocking both flush draws. I'm not going to turn continuation bet on this card with this hand. And we face a B50. This would
I, I think we're pretty indifferent. I mean, we've got a pure bluff catcher. Do we like? I don't think we like blocking the draws. I'm really indifferent here. I'm not sure. I think I probably. I mean, this is the kind of situation where I would randomize and call like 40% of the time, fold 60.
yeah, good point about us blocking both of their flush draws.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
think I'm really indifferent here.
Me too. Yeah, I was. This is why, one of those spots where it's like to bring it to you guys and see what you guys think.
Yeah.
So he's got, because he's so active and has been decently aggressive,
Yeah, that's a
does
good
his
point. This
range
VPIP is
contain
54.
quite a bit more junk than just all of his value? And
Yeah.
I wound up calling.
Yeah.
Then we get
8.
here.
No.
Yeah. We check and he goes pot size, and now I'm not gonna call.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, it was the flop and the turn that I had questions about. We
Yeah,
had
I was indifferent. Yeah, makes sense.
all right. Pretty silent out there from the masses. I'd love to get some input. Okay, next hand, we are in the big blind with ace king. So let's see what the action is to us. Okay, so we get the raise from the hijack. Definitely going to be 3-betting. And we get a flat. Okay, great looking flop for us here.
Yeah, good flop.
We 3-bet. Flop really good top of range. In a flop that's good for us. I'm always going to see bet here. Let's see if we have not a whole lot of info, just 20 hands. Player's been on the recreational / bad reg type so far. But I'm always going to be c betting. And I go with the B33 size. And we
I
get a
like it.
call. And we get a brick here on the turn. This card here tells me I'm probably going to size up. Now we're already getting pretty good stack to pot ratio. So how big we go probably gets diminished. Like we don't have to overbet, obviously.
Well, if we bet
No.
20, we can get all the stack in.
Yeah. So 2E, right, Derek?
Well, like I
We
say,
have a
divide the stack size by the pot. No, subtract the pot from the stack sizes, divide by 3. That gives us 20. Go with 20.
so a B50. I went
Yeah,
large. I went B75. So I did do a little bit on the larger size.
I think we size up often on a double flush draw board. I don't know if it's this true in three bet pots, but I like the size.
He calls. So it
So
leaves
he's got
us
a
with,
pretty filtered range here. That's not a great card. But importantly, it's the ace of clubs. I don't mind a check
yeah,
call here.
that's a good point that it is the ace of clubs specifically,
Yeah. Cause you three bet free.
because now he's not going to have as many of those flush draws that, we would have been worried about. Say this came the 8 of clubs.
That'd be a different story, yeah.
Now he maintains all of those ace high club draws that he could easily have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think ace of clubs makes it a very good check call.
Oh, because I was thinking this actually makes a better bet now, as opposed to a check. Because now when we check, he's going to check behind quite a bit with a lot of stuff that he might call with.
Yeah.
We have a
Well,
shove, right?
let's think about what he's gonna call to your polarizing sizing on turn. What size did you use on turn? You used like a B50, B60, right?
Yeah, B75.
So this is a filtering size. He's gonna have king, queen. He's gonna have maybe some sticky queen, like queens. I think his range is gonna be composed mainly of front doors, of other king X, and maybe some sticky queens and jacks. But this is a filtering sizing, so. I think in theory, half his range is gone here, so. I like a check call more, uh, because of this, this is not the ideal river. I think I like check call here more.
Okay. And now the bet size is only half pot
Yeah,
when we go all in.
yeah, and I think this, okay, and he
He does fold.
folds
He
his,
folds.
what do you call that B75 with? Yeah, they're the jack. So. I like a check call. I like a check call because I think you have a really good bluff catching hand when it's the ace of clubs. And so, we are gonna do bluffs a lot. But probably not with this hand. Probably with this hand, he's gonna check back. And we're gonna have the same result. But I think I prefer check call because um of the ace of clubs specifically.
This is a decent one to maybe look at.
Yeah, I could be totally off base. I'm curious what they say here. This is a really good one to solve. Let's do it.
Do you see the solver? Probably not. I gotta share a
No.
different window, I think. Okay, stand
Yeah, I
by.
don't know. Okay.
So I need to go here. How about now?
Not quite yet, but we're waiting patiently. Yeah, we are.
I see it. Yep.
Yeah. We got
Okay.
the solver.
So the hijack raise, big blind 3-bet. Hijack calls. And we got the,
See, you have jack to full
Shoot.
frequency here? We'll look after you put the hand in. Do you want me to
Okay.
tell you the flop or you got it?
If you have it in front of you, tell me.
7 of diamonds, 3 of clubs, king of clubs.
Okay, so yeah, looks like we bet range.
Yeah,
And
this
we
king high
use
flop, we love it.
we use the B33 quite a bit, but we're kind of using a lot of bigger sizing. Let's see if our suits matter, and it doesn't really matter with the ace king.
Looks like we're going smaller with the king of ace of clubs because
Yeah,
he has less that can call you, I think. Right? Like, but also you have the back door. But I think the reason that we're betting smaller with the ace of clubs is because his calling range is diminished. I think. But with your spade, ace king spade, which probably just doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
yeah, pretty much divided equally there. Okay, let's see, their jacks, do they start to get indifferent? Probably not at this point. I bet they're called, oh, yeah, it does. Gotta
Yeah,
have
they're
a
already
club.
indifferent. They're just out. This flop is so good for your three betting range. Even though the solver has a pretty polar, I don't know if it's as polar against hijack play. It can have some polarity to it, but it doesn't care. It just wants, it needs to, this is an important thing to see. It needs to, it needs to have a backdoor equity.
Yep.
Yeah. So queens are, I guess, maybe queens like black and king queen. Your
What was
turn
the turn?
was the 5 of diamonds. So this is, I think, an interesting spot. 'Cause I'm not sure what we do. Yeah, you did the right thing. You played this perfectly, dude.
Okay, good. Yeah, like so I was thinking the big size, it leaves us with that small river bet. And I was
Can you
worried about,
filter to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, filter to,
Top pair. Let's just see where, yeah, so the ace king is special. Everything else has got a lot of checking, but the ace king is special.
I wonder why we don't have king queen. Oh, yeah, here it is.
I interrupted you though, Mike. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I am not sure. I was
Okay.
saying about, I wonder why we don't have king queen suited here.
Oh,
Maybe because we don't make this bet choice on the flop or something.
is
But
it, do we always three bet it against hijack?
no, probably not. Yeah, it's pure call.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why. Good job. All right, so we do the B75. And the jack, there's no way jacks are calling here.
Yeah, jacks are not supposed to be calling here.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, they should be gone. Yeah.
Queens are shook. Okay, but they do, so they call.
Now this is really where I have the question. You have a ace of clubs. So I wonder if we do check call or am I up base here? Huh, I can't explain that.
Well, we don't, doesn't show us having anything here.
But we had a B75 with our combo, clearly.
We sure did.
We don't have any filters on.
Oh, wait, ace king suited on the turn we don't have.
Oh, you're on hijack.
Sorry.
Go to big blind. Yeah, we definitely have this size.
Oh, I got the action wrong. This is why. I got the action wrong.
Oh, yeah. We bet,
Yeah.
yeah. He called. Flop. G75, he called. He's never supposed to call. Ace of clubs. Yeah, you made the right play. I am off base. Yeah, we're shoving.
Sprinkles in a little bit of B10%. B10.
Yeah. We
Are
have
we checking
no,
anything? We're not checking anything.
that's crazy. Maybe he doesn't. He's got, so if you go back to hijack turn here. Right, yeah, that node. And you, okay, so he's always calling flushes and flush draw nuts. So he always has the flush. draw. So I'm surprised that we just YOLO it. You just don't care. It must
You
be because of
know, all right.
SPR.
I'm gonna make this the 8 of clubs and see how that changes our action. It doesn't.
Just too far to the range, I guess. Well, let's go back to ace king off because we're doing some interesting stuff with the club. So if we're blocking the nuts, we're checking. If we're unblocking the nuts, we're shoving. Can you change the view to equity here? So we have so much more equity with the blocker. This, I mean, we all can kind of question the value of blockers, but I think this is a situation where blockers are really important. That's a very interesting play. I can't understand why you shove with the lower equity, but we check call. I mean, I can understand it for the same reason I was saying doing it, that we can check, call a shove very easily, blocking the ace of clubs.
Yeah. So we check, they jam. I mean, we're not folding ace king, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then we just pure call with the ace of clubs.
I don't get with the fact that we're holding the ace of clubs will make him want to bluff more.
Yeah, I think it's, well, I think the ace of clubs would be the key bluffing card with the naked ace of clubs.
Yeah.
But we saw how much more equity we had. And so that must put us into some kind of hand class that just can easily check call. As opposed to when we're gonna shove with less equity, which must be more profitable because it generates folds that we want.
Yeah. So man, I can't wrap my head around
Weird
some
one.
of it sometimes.
Alright, so 2 o'clock. Should we do some more hands or should we call it? What do you guys want to do?
Anybody else? I'm good to share some more.
Yeah, I got 1 or 2 more. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's keep going. I got one for the end.
Or you got one? Good.
All right,
Want to share it now?
Skate's got one.
Yeah, you go ahead. I'll go last.
Okay.
Since this one was in motion here, here we are on king queen in the big blind to an ISO from a
Oh,
short
this is a very
stack.
interesting spot. You're in the big blind, right?
Yeah. 2 limpers and then a short stack ISO.
Well, so your king queen
Uh,
is worth a lot more against the short stack. Because just the nature of king queen against. I I wouldn't mind isolating the villain 18 and just getting it in. You know, it's not super comfortable. I think your hand is worth more against the short stack just because of reverse implied. There's less reverse implied. So
yeah.
I like a re-raise here. It's a
Yeah,
really weird
after
spot.
looking at this, I remember thinking about this after the hand and think I wished I had done that and I didn't. I was just going to go and play it in this sense, which we don't get
Yeah.
any further. But that pre-flop was where I was mostly
Yeah.
concerned about. I should have re-ISO'd and then been okay getting it in versus this guy.
Yeah, I think once yeah, against a broken stack, not against a full stack, but against a broken stack, yeah. Against 35 big blinds or whatever. What did they have? They're playing this hand with.
Stand by.
Yeah.
They had 6-4 suited.
Well, that's what I want to, yeah. I would have liked, yeah, I think that's the play.
And he flop trips, by the way.
That's also the thing we want to do with the 6 4 suited.
All right, Skate, did you say you got one?
Yeah, I got one. All right, start sharing.
Yeah.
All right, let me figure it out here.
All right, you got ace queen
Uh,
suited. That's a good hand.
Yep, perfect. You can see my screen. All right, so yeah, I have ace queen suited, but the way this hand is gonna go, I couldn't input for straddle, so it's actually the button, the dealer, who's gonna straddle 5, and then the
Okay.
small blind is gonna raise. So just get into that.
Okay, so we got a button straddle,
Yep, button straddle
but then
5.
small blind raised to what?
So here, I'm gonna show here. He's gonna raise to 15.
Hey,
Okay.
Skate, real quick, let me ask you something.
Yep.
So when the button straddles to 5 and the blinds are 1 and 2, does that mean when you play, do you play for 5? Like, in other words, would you come in for 5 here, or was it still 2?
Oh yeah, so yeah, so none of that, so the people in the hand here are, this is incorrect. So when you straddle 5, the action is immediately after the straddle. So it goes in clockwise order. And so it's gonna,
Okay,
after the, yeah, after the raise, it's gonna come around to me.
gotcha.
So
So
he's
you
gonna,
guys haven't actually put 2 in yet. This just consider these
yeah, yeah,
not there.
yeah, yeah, it was
Okay,
the only way, yeah, it
understood.
was the only way I could do this. Um, so yeah, small blind is gonna raise to 15 after the button straddle 5. And I think, yeah, big blind under the gun are gonna fold, and I am going to flat here with the ace queen suited.
Yeah,
I think your
you got
flat
a
is
you
fine.
got a
I don't
4
really
bet.
know what to do in this situation, but generally he should have to open to 15 from his position. He's got to have a strong range. I kind of like your flat. I'm not sure what I'd do here.
I would
What's the rake in
100%
this
3 bet.
game?
Yeah, I mean, thinking back, I should have 3 bet. I think he would have called with his hand, but the rake, I don't like. It's a standard. Um, from what I remember, I think they have a jackpot. It's it's a live rake. I don't know exactly what it is, but see, they have uh, $1 for the flop, and then like $2 for the jackpot, I think, or something like that. And
Okay,
then
all
like,
right.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think either is fine. It just gets weird because now all of a sudden, so you're playing. So sell the 5. You're on $300, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And so he's got 200. So it's really a 50 big blind. You're starting 50. You're playing 50 big blind poker, right? Because of the straddle of the 5. Sorry, 40 big blind poker. Because your big blind essentially is $5 now. So 40 big blind, ace queen is worth a lot more. So I think I wouldn't know what size to go here though. So if you go 45, maybe like $40 would be your 3 bet size. But he should have a very, very strong range here that he's opening. What do you think, Mike?
No, I definitely am not on board with flatting. I am on board with 3 betting 100%. And I'd probably go, I'm just probably in the 50 range.
Yeah, so $50, and then he is going to be playing 150 back if he calls. I think a 3 bet probably is better. I think you're right. Just all of a sudden, the
And
straddle just changes the game.
to be clear, I would 3 bet, and then if he jams, I'm calling.
Okay. All right, so you go to fit
Yep.
G flat him, and
Yep.
you get callers behind.
Yep. Low jack, hijack, and the original straddler
Oh
call.
my goodness.
So this is the argument for three betting, right? Is that you're not
Yeah,
taking
right.
this massively multi-way.
Yep.
I respectfully disagree with Derek on this. I don't think we want to be four ways with this. So, okay, so you got top pair
Yep.
on a two-tone board, and what does our three better do? What does our original razor do, rather? Sorry.
They lead out for 30.
All right,
And
so
Just under
this
half.
massively multi-way, I think we just call.
yeah, yeah, that's what I did. I just called. Everyone else is gonna get out the way.
Oh, well, that's good.
Oh,
That's a great river.
sorry. Oops. So I just call there. There we go. And the rest of the people got out the way. And so we get this turn here.
And what does he
And
do?
on turn,
He
he,
goes
he
65.
bets about
Another
half.
B40-ish.
Yeah, 40.
Hmm.
We just call in.
Yep. I flat here. Um. Yeah, me thinking that I may have the best hand. Stills, So we go to the river, and we get this. So I have this hand, and this is what throws me off here. He goes ahead and checks, and that just makes me think at the moment here, when I was playing at the table, that maybe it's very unlikely that, because now they check the river, all of a sudden that maybe they're more on the weaker side. But then I'm forgetting that they're the original three better in the hand, and they were the aggressor, and maybe here that they're just targeting an ace, and that wasn't going through my mind at the moment. So
I think
I
you
went
need to
ahead.
shove here for value.
Yeah.
I think it's a value shove. He's got 90 back in a pot of 267. I think you just, because when you make this bet, the pot odds are so appealing when he shoves that you just almost have to call with this hand. You can't really fold this hand if he shoves for an extra $60.
Yeah, I really wanted him to call or raise me with maybe a weaker ace
Yeah.
on it. But
So you put in 35 here.
yeah, but what happened is, so here's the thing: he goes all in, which I'm obviously not gonna fold because
Yeah,
I'm
well,
aggressive.
let's look at your pot odds. So you've got to call 60 to win with your bet 410 or something. No, 60 to you and to win for 40. So those pot odds are really compelling and you just really can't fold.
Yeah, I mean, I lost a hand, but where my take on this is, the river, I should have maybe checked back the river because, I mean, I don't have the nuts.
Um,
Well, just because you don't have the nuts doesn't mean you can't bet. However, I'm with you on
Yeah.
potentially checking back. You have to ask yourself, will you get called by worse if you bet? And I think the answer is yes. You can still get called by worse when you bet. And I think but you shouldn't be making this bet. You should be jamming when you make the bet. And if you jam and can still get called by ace jack, ace 10, um, maybe it's too thin because those are the only real hands that you're going to get called by that are worse because nothing worse is going to call you, right? What else would be worse? Sticky pocket kings?
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
don't think
so.
I don't
So
think I
it might
was.
be too thin to bet, but you still could get value from worse. And therefore, I don't think the bet is terrible. It's just really thin. So I
so
think
let's,
checking back is a definite option.
yeah, I think it's a definite option too.
Yeah.
But here, I think that, so your pot odds here, I think are around 16%. And so if you just look at it pure MDF, I think that's like you've got to defend 80% of your range. So is this hand fall within the top 80% of your range? And the answer is yes. And you only have to win. Yeah, I mean, so you're gonna lose to a baby flush here, but I think you just gotta call. I think your pot odds are so compelling that you just gotta call. And you're gonna lose a lot, but you don't have to win. You have to win less than 2 out of 10 times to be profitable here with the pot odds. So you just call. You call and pay the
Yeah,
man.
yeah, pay the man. And then on the river, I maybe should have gone a little bit larger because either way, if you had a better hand, the money was gonna get in either way. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I think the hand, even if I would have, flag called as I did or 3-bet pre-flop, I imagine he would have still called uh, pre-flop and then seen this flop, and the hand would have been the same. I would have lost the money.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
think results oriented. Think about,
Yeah, yeah,
how you play the hand and
exactly. Yeah,
versus their hands that they have.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
it's a cooler with the river.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
cooler,
I'm
but
just, yeah. My main thought is, next time, think about maybe checking back more versus betting.
maybe, but I wouldn't be results oriented. I mean, there's always gonna be, this is a very interesting trap to choose to have
Yeah,
on that river.
yeah, maybe more against. Let me rephrase that. Maybe more against this player, not against population. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
you were
it's really
saying.
player dependent.
Yeah,
Should our
Well, that's a
inner
good
Joey
hand,
be
man. I'm glad
going?
you brought that hand to us.
Should our inner Joey be going off here? Because I was thinking on the flop when we called the flop, I was like seriously considering just folding flop versus 5 players, a 5-way flop.
Um, that's pretty tight.
I know it's very tight, and the inner Joey, it's always conflicting with what we think, but it's often a good strategy. And I was pretty on the fence about, should we be calling this? Should we just should the signals be
Yeah,
going off? Granted, we did have the best hand, but versus 4 other players, I think 3 were still left to act when it was our option.
yeah, you have a good point. Well, that's an argument for free betting free, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, I didn't advocate a call there. That was a pure
Yeah.
3-bet.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording, guys. Say it, Skate. Say it out loud.
well, thank you, ladies, gents, boys, and girls of the poker world.
Thank you, Skate.
Yep. Thank you for joining us today. And once again, may the poker gods be with you all.
Yeah.
Yep.